Hello friends, I've got something special to show you. This is a 1977 Volkswagen Hormiga. Let's show you the cab first. This is a very special vehicle, as it is the only vehicle that was made in Mexico, only for Mexico. Let's see if I can get a better shot there of it. This uses the Type 1 Volkswagen Beetle engine that is right here underneath the cab, right next to the gas tank, right there. Sorry for the bad camera angles. There's the filler neck, and it is front wheel drive. 3,600 of these were made over a 2-year period, and that was it. So each one is unique unto itself. This one was restored, and I'm using that term in quotes because it was basically painted and parts were found for it, and stuff like that. This does have a lot of, the gas tank is only for the Hormiga. The speedometer is only for the Hormiga. All of these parts here only for the Hormiga. This wood bed was built by the person that restored it, and he did a pretty good job with that. I do have the back parts of it that I'm going to leave off for our trip north. He put some LED taillights on it for some reason, and he really liked green parts. He painted everything under there green, and brake drums green, and so here's the interior. It's as basic as you can get. Driver's seat, and I have seen some with just a bench going across, not even padded seats like that, just a really hard bench. You have shoulder harness, but no lap belts. There should be a turn signal switch right here, but they used a toggle instead. That's the horn on it. High beams are on the floor. Gas pedal, brake pedal, clutch pedal. Here's your master cylinder up here. This is a Hormiga only speedometer because the entrance for the speedometer cable comes straight down, and on a Beetle it comes out to the side. Not really much to show. They did give you this where you can put your documents there. You're basically right where all the action is. So yes, the guy really did like green. Door handles are pretty basic. Those are the marker lights are from the Hormiga. This is the shot from the passenger side. Again, you only have the shoulder harness here and the gear shift lever to make sure it's tight. I bought this in Mexico, the state of Mexico, Estado de Mexico, for the client, and had it transported up here. Then it went to the mechanic, and the mechanic had to lower the engine to stop. Had to lower the engine to stop an oil leak. Then he adjusted the valves and rebuilt the carburetor, and we replaced the starter and a whole list of things. So it runs really well now, and we are going to deliver it over this weekend. So please leave any comment you want. Let me know what you think of this thing. And unique doesn't even approach what this thing is. So really appreciate you watching my video. Please go look for more unique vehicles from Mexico. Okay, here we go. Heading off on another adventure. Got the Hormiga up on the trailer. It is 4 o'clock in the morning, and we are heading out. Nice and dark, just the way I like it. Less people on the road. So we will catch you up in Ciudad Obregón. Hello, friends. How about another story time video? These are cars in my backyard, but we're going to be inserting some pictures here from our trip. These are the stories from our trip to deliver the 1977 Volkswagen Hormiga up to the Arizona border. Now, this falls under the heading of everything happens for a reason. Okay, so here we go. We usually leave our town at 4 a.m., which we did this time. And Mrs. Spec says, "Do you have everything? Do you have everything?" I said, "Yes." We put the Volkswagen Hormiga up on the trailer. Everything is secured. Trailer secured. It is tight. It is strapped down. All of that. So we leave about 4 o'clock in the morning, and we get on the highway, and we start driving. Now, there are 6 military inspections between us and the border, at least 6. And usually, if I don't shave, if I look a little scruffy, they just wave us through. So again, I didn't shave, and we got about 82 kilometers up the highway, and we pull in, and it's still cold. It's still early in the morning. And the first guy looks at us, sees we're towing a trailer with a vehicle on it, and he says, "Go over there to the right." So we went over there to the right. When we got over there, the guy says, "What are you doing here?" We said, "Well, he told us to come over here." "Well, this is for buses only." "But, well, since you're here, let's check it out." So they, checked it out, asked us where we're going, where we're coming from, everything else. I got out of the truck to go show them the Hormiga, and I hit my pockets, and I realized I left the keys to the Hormiga at the house. So after I told the guy that, I said, "I'm sorry, I can't open it up for you. I left the keys at the house." So they said, "Okay, fine, go." So we had to turn around, go back 81, 82 kilometers back to town. By this time, the sun's coming up, and I pull off the highway. I wasn't going to drive all the way across town with the trailer and everything at that hour. So I parked in front of a mall that's close to the highway, and Mrs. Spec got in an Uber and went home to get the keys. When we got to the mall, I noticed that even though the left tail light was bolted to a piece of metal, and that metal was bent and then bolted up underneath the deck of the flatbed, it had broken off. The whole metal piece had broken off, and the taillight and the metal were just swinging by the wires. So Mrs. Spec brought back some bungee cords from the house along with the keys when she came back in the Uber, and she bungee corded it to the side of the frame. And I'm like, how is this even possible? How does metal break just from driving at 100 kilometers per hour? It didn't make any sense to me. So we leave again. At this point, we're 3.5 hours behind schedule. And the next time we pulled into that military inspection, they just waved us through. So they knew who we were. Okay, just keep going. Now, this is like the 10th vehicle that I had taken to the border. They only stopped me one time. I think it was actually when I was towing the Beetle up there, to look through the stuff. And that guy was just looking for money, but going to ask for money. But he didn't care about the Beetle or the trailer or anything else. He was just one of those guys. But it's weird that they sent us into secondary I'm glad they did, because I could have gotten all the way to the border and figured out, hey, I don't have any keys for this thing. So I couldn't open the doors, couldn't start it, couldn't do anything. So that falls under the category of everything happens for a reason. So let's see. Left the keys in the house. Yes, I'm going off my list here. So the next stop for us is Ciudad Obregón, where I put fuel in it. We stop at the Walmart, which I'll insert the vehicle. I'll insert the video here where I videoed around it. And when I got out of the truck at that Walmart, the right-hand taillight had broken off exactly how the left-hand taillight had broken off. They're both bolted to the truck with metal. I didn't understand how it could break off only going 100 kilometers per hour, but this vehicle had never traveled at that speed. Never. The most you could do in an Hormiga is 50 kilometers per hour if you're lucky, if you're absolutely lucky. Being that it is a front-wheel drive vehicle and you're sitting in front of the wheels and you're pulling all that weight because it had a brand new wood flatbed on it with the sides. You'll see it in the pictures, but all of that wood was really heavy. When I put it up on the trailer, the rear end of my 2000 Durango just came down hard. So that was, even though it didn't look like it was heavy, it was a lot of weight. So we get to Ciudad Obregón. The right-hand tail light breaks off, so Mrs. Spec bungee cords that one also to the frame. We check everything out. Everything's fine. Make sure the straps are tightened, and everything's fine. So we take off. The next stop that we get to is Hermosillo for lunch. And as I'm driving, now I only had 2 straps to strap this down, one in front, one in the back. And as we're going, even though I had the strap tightened as tight as I could get it, the rear end of the Hormiga kept inching towards the left, inching and inching and inching, and it finally got to the tire was touching the left part of the trailer, which was fine. It couldn't go anymore, so I just left it there, tightened it as much as I could. That was fine. So we left Hermosillo, did the next military inspection, and again, second time in the same day, they send us into secondary. You guys liking my story? You guys liking my story? This is the second time in the same day they send us into secondary. And they only did it because they had no idea what was on the trailer. So I went out there and I explained it and told them what it was, and only 3,600 were ever made, and it's front wheel drive, and look, the engine's right there under the cab, facing backwards like it should, all that stuff. So, okay, we leave there, and the next gas station, I put gas in the truck. Now, it's important to note that the military guys were all over the Hormiga looking at what it was, because these are young guys, they've never seen one before. They're looking at it, they're touching underneath, they're looking under the bed, they're looking at everything. And then we get to the gas station, and there was a guy, they're all full service gas stations in Mexico, all of them. So he put the gas in, and he was also in proximity to the truck and trailer. So we leave the gas station. Shortly after we get on the highway, Mrs. Spec's phone gets a notice that there's an air tag on this vehicle somewhere, and it's beeping, which we have never had before. And she starts to freak out. I didn't really realize what the problem was, but she says somebody could have put an air tag on it, and they're going to find us, and they're going to steal the trailer, they're going to do whatever. And that's something we have to think about in Mexico. So could have been the military guys, they have friends, could have been the guy at the gas station, we didn't know. So I pulled off to the side of the highway, and Mrs. Spec is underneath the Hormiga, she's underneath the trailer, and she's after she gets all dirty, she says, call the guy we rented the trailer from, see if he put the air tag on it. So I get him on the phone, and he says, yeah, I put the air tag just so I can find my trailers. And she's like, well, okay, at least it's nothing nefarious, and fine. But by that time, she had already been underneath in the dirt because we had to pull off the side in the dirt. It wasn't paved or anything. So we get back in the vehicle, and we arrived in Nogales, the end of the trip, at nighttime, and went to sleep. We got up early because the buyers were supposed to come in at like 9 o'clock in the morning, and we called them and said, please, give us a little bit more time, because I took the Hormiga on the trailer to a shop that I know to have the taillights welded back on, because the buyer was going to cross it, get into Arizona, and you have to have working taillights and everything. So I had to make sure that there was no problem with him. So I backed the trailer in to this. It's an alternator shop, electrical shop, and oh yeah, we can weld it. And so he was working on it. And I think the situation there is there are a whole lot of guys there that work on vehicles, but they're kind of like independent contractors, and they pay the guy at the shop a certain amount to have an area. So the guy got almost done putting the taillights back on, and he says, hey, why don't you pull out to the street? Now this is a very public, heavily trafficked street, and I had to swing the trailer wide, to get out, and I didn't make it, and I took the bumper off the owner's Honda Civic with the fender of the trailer. So I backed it up, pulled it out wide, and after everything, we couldn't get the left tail light to work, because as he was welding it, they're LED tail lights, this newfangled stuff, and it burned out something inside the tail light, so the tail light was no good. The left side was working fine. The right side wasn't working at all. So I had to deliver it like that. There was no way I could get another taillight and put it on, and then for the time, because the buyer said that they have something to do after this, so they had to get rid of it. They had to do it quickly. So I delivered the vehicle. This time we drove the truck and trailer to the entrance to the road that goes to it's called Mariposa. It's the commercial crossing. It's not where they came in, which is the pedestrian crossing. They have to cross it where all of the big rigs cross. So we pull it in there, and never having done it before, and pull it in, and I pulled up in this little area that looked like it was customs. So Mrs. Spec goes and asks the girl that's working there, and she said, well, show me your papers. And she's looking through the papers, and she said, well, where's the other paperwork? Well, what other paperwork? Oh, we need paperwork for Mexican customs. And we're like, well, we don't need to go through Mexican customs, because this truck is being imported into the U.S. Oh, well, that's not here. That's you turn around and you go back there and you go up the road. So, well, can we take the truck off the trailer here? No, you can't. This is customs area. You have to go down there. So they shooed us down there, and we found a place to unload the truck and delivered it there. But it took them 4 or 5 hours to cross it, and they have the truck in Arizona. It's in their warehouse, and after all the holidays and everything, they're going to go with their license plates and everything for it. And he actually is asking me for another one, which I found a really nice red one, that I have everything worked out. We just need to get past the holidays in order for him to go ahead on that. But as soon as we dropped them off, we went back to the hotel, we collected our luggage and everything, and we hit the road coming back home, where some of you guys were on the live with us, the 6-hour live, heading back home. And that was fun. That was I'm so glad you guys kept us company. Driving out there, and we got to show you how the highway in Mexico was, and traffic and everything else, and a lot of weird cars that you don't see over there in the U.S. So, and then the 2 wrong turns that we took. So, yeah, it's always fun. But we're going to be inserting some pictures and videos here, and to give you a narrative on what we actually did. But I'm heading this under everything happens for a reason. If they didn't send us into secondary in that first military stop, I would have gotten all the way to the border without knowing that I didn't have the keys for the truck. And that would have been a disaster. So I sure am glad that I was towing a weird looking truck that everybody wanted to look at. So I'm going to sign off, and if we need to add to this, we'll add to this. If not, please like, share, subscribe. Actually, subscribe first, then do the rest. Adios.